I'd like to introduce CJ to you. He'll be talking to you today. I knew CJ back when he was your age.
17.
No, I knew him when he was 14.
Well, I'm
Younger than you guys.
17.
Yep. And he is now 27, and will kind of tell you about his life story. So I'd like to introduce CJ to you.
How's it going, everybody? My name is CJ Hernandez. I am happy to be here at Sunrise Mountain High School, and I'd like to thank Ms. Maher for making this happen. So let's start. So my life with autism, my diagnosis of autism and not knowing about it until I was 14. Which right here, this is a picture of me when I was 3 years old. That's when I was diagnosed. And at the age of 14, that's when I realized that I have autism. I didn't know about it before. And then I used to be ashamed of it. I used to think it's a bad thing. I'm trying to hide it and pretend like I'm being normal stuff. Until at the age of 19, I have evolved with, like, I remember hearing my dad's voice in my head saying, you know, express yourself. While at the age of 19, I was in community college at the time, and I was doing a communication project. I see myself that I have autism at the time, and that's how I feel, you know, based on what my dad told me is to express yourself. That's how I express myself, telling everybody that I have autism and I'm proud of it. So that made me think, that gave me that mentality that nothing's wrong with autism. I think it's a superpower, so I'm very happy and proud of having it, and I like to express it with everybody else. My accomplishments, I went to SARC, stands for Southwest Autism Resource Center. That was where I started doing volunteer work while I was in high school in my junior year. I used to start working at the Phoenix Science Museum, and that's how I learned how to work at a job, basically. And every month my paycheck was like $100 a month. And as you can see, I got a high school diploma. I graduated in Westview High School, Tolleson Union District at the year 2009. And on CVS, I used to work there. I used to be a stalker for 3 years, and SARC was the one that helped me to get that job. How to apply a job, how to do interviews and all that stuff, and that's how it happened that I got hired by CVS at the time. And barbering, this was the career that I wanted to do, and once that kind of happened was what got me started into barbering is that in my sophomore year of high school, I was cutting my own hair. And my mom was looking at me while I was cutting my own hair. That's when she realized, oh, I know what he wants to do in life, which is becoming a barber. So as of now, I am a barber, and I've been barbering for 6 years. And then my last accomplishment was that I bought my own car in 2015. This is a 2015 Honda Civic, and I've been having that car for 4 years now. And having a relationship, you know, my girlfriend Martha, I knew her from high school, in my junior year of high school, and we've been together for 6 years now, and you know, she's people have been mistaking that she's on the spectrum like myself. Well, believe it or not, she's not. So it's I'm very lucky to have her, and she's been real patient with me, you know, with my challenges and everything. Even though we kind of fight sometimes, but at the end of the day, we really love each other. So I would like to present my strengths of my experiences with autism. Strength number one is memory. I've been told that I have an excellent memory by my family, my peers that I was around with, including some of my clients at the barbershop. Like I have an emotional attachment to family events, sporting events, places where I used to live at, etc. And I thought it was a normal thing, but to everyone else that know me, it's very extraordinary. As you can see with the houses, like, well, I used to, you know, my grandma Marion, and her condo right there with that circle in there. You know, she used to live at the second floor, and you know, that's where she babysits me. And this was my old house back in Skokie. You know, it's mostly attached to me. I know exactly what the zip code is and what the address is and you know, well, pretty much everything that is about this house. Everything that's in the front yard, backyard back then before we moved out to Arizona. This was me when I was 10 years old, meeting Steve Kerr, who is now the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. He used to be a basketball player
At that time, he used to be a Portland Trailblazer, but I remember him as a Chicago Bull when he won when the Chicago Bulls won the second three-peat from '96 to '98. My grandfather, you know, my mother had been telling great stories about him. I have never met him in person. He passed away half a year before I was born. But you know, I really think of him as a very great person. He's my role model, and I know I always looked up to him.
And and strength number 2 is that I'm a visual learner. Well, it's easier to understand to look at directions, you know, like instead of being told where to go verbally. So like seeing these signs, for example, that kind of gives you an idea where you need to go. And or what's also easier is use a GPS as long as you're at the passenger seat. Strength number 3 is that I am detail oriented. As you can see right here, this is me cutting a client's hair, and how I'm very detail oriented about it.
There are barbers that care about quantity and ones that care about quality. Well, for me, I care about quality.
I'm the type of barber that takes my time and give good quality haircuts. For me to make the best looking blend fade as possible, like I am pretty much a perfectionist, but nobody's perfect, but I always try the best I can on a haircut. And this building right here, this used to be my elementary school in Skokie, Illinois. I used to remember that the school entrance doesn't look like that. I remember that it used to be like, you know, like this part right here, and then there's a sign that says Devonshire School, Devonshire Elementary, District 68. And I can also remember that the playground, it was completely different than what it used to be when I used to be a student there from K to 5. And then I'm gonna get to my challenges. Communication and clarity. Like I might still have some problems with communicating, even though I'm getting better at them. But like sometimes it's kind of hard to clarify what I'm trying to say to other people, and I kind of have a problem with you know, with storytelling. But you know, I try the best I can to you know, to clarify, you know, where I come from, or any kind of story that I like to tell to you know, my family or my clients, whoever.
Even though that my communication skills is getting better, but sometimes I have a problem with, you know, being clear, and you know, and I kind of have a little bit of a problem with my storytelling, but it's kind of working out a little bit. An executive function, well, like I have a problem, you know, starting my tasks, like say for example, like I was supposed to be cleaning my room at the beginning of the day, but I ended up doing it at the last moment. Like it's kind of like procrastinating, but it's just that my list of things to do is kind of out of order, and sometimes I don't really follow them. And my CAPD, which was my biggest challenge, which stands for Central Auditory Processing Disorder. And my social skills, well, the biggest problem that I have with my social skills is all about jokes.
Here's a catch here. I work at a barber shop. People joke around there all the time. And it's just that I kind of cannot stand, you know, like people joking around. Like, I kind of don't understand it. Like say, whenever people are joking, poking fun at me, like, you know, I don't know how to respond. You know, it's kind of like a competition thing or something like that. And there's jokes involved with that. And I mean, well, and I'm also that type of guy that doesn't, you know, respond back with a joke to, you know, just to fire back at somebody who hit me first. So like, that's just the kind of person that I am. But at least I kind of know sarcasm, well, almost, depending on the tone. Like, sometimes it's kind of hard. I mean, depending on the person, it's kind of hard to understand some people's tones, or you know, vice versa the other way. Like, it's easier to understand. My biggest challenge is Central Auditory Processing Disorder. As you can see, this picture right here, this is an illustration of it. The illustration says here, like, whenever someone is giving me some very important information, it blocks my way, and I couldn't able to process it correctly. And then once that happened, well, the solution is you gotta ask the person to say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Like as many times as I need to get that information inside of my head, so that way I can understand it better.
CJ has a hard time understanding the words people talk to him. His brain doesn't understand all of it. So he's learned, I just have to ask, can you say that again? So that he gets the information in his head, especially at work.
There's hope. Autism awareness.
There's statistics say that there is 1 of 60 people who are on the autism spectrum. Before it was 1 in 10,000, especially during the times when I was born. People weren't aware back then, but now it has evolved. People are aware of it now, and they're, everyone's trying to make not trying, but everyone's making a difference right now, and it's astounding, and of course, you gotta love yourself. So as I told you guys before, I love myself, and I'm proud of having autism, and I love what I'm doing right now, and of course, I also listen to myself, and I've been thinking, and I think the positive, that's what gets me motivated. That's what gets me, get me going, loving myself. I don't let anybody else get in my way, trying to talk down to me and all that stuff. So that's how I love myself. Is to, be true to yourself, be proud of yourself. So yeah, and the other thing is,
as I was saying before, I used to be ashamed of having autism, but as of now on, I'm really proud of being myself, and especially, having autism in my life, I'm very proud of having it, and I really think of it as a superpower. And to love the people that are always by your side, and that guide you to get a better life. Which you see at these illustrations right here. These are the one of my followers on Instagram who got my stickers. I deliver them by mail. He's from Florida, and this guy right here, he's actually a co-worker of mine, but at a different location. I mean, they all, as you can see, they're all supporting me. Where I'm coming from, they've been supporting me and everything like that. So, of course, my girlfriend is always by my side. Even though that, we kind of have some hard times, but we love each other, and she's always got my back, and love her so much. And of course, my family. My family from Mexico, and my family from Chicago. They always love me. They're part of my family, and don't give up on, like me, I don't give up, but I have some hard times, I have some ups and downs, but but at the end of the day, every day is a new day. Hey, thank you, everybody, and here's how to follow me, how to contact me. I have an Instagram account, and my account name is CJ the Autistic Barber. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for CJ? What it's like to live with autism?
I remember I had one this morning, just can't remember it.
CJ works full-time. What are the statistics of students or people with autism that work full-time?
39%.
39% of adults with autism have a full-time job. CJ's doing it.
What do you do when you're completely under pressure, like overwhelmed? How do you get past that?
Well, I just gotta be in a better environment, to calm myself down. Wow, I go outside of my work, just to relax outside, or I just stay in my car, to prevent, to be stress relief.
How do you deal with the problem at hand, other than just get away from it?
Any other tricks other than getting away with it? How do you keep working even if it's hard?
Sometimes it could be nonsense, or especially if I'm having a client and someone is getting to me, I just gotta concentrate on my work, concentrate on doing your craft.
CJ's #1 priority in life is keeping his job. He loves his job, so even with all these difficulties, he has to say, well, I'm here to cut hair. I'm here to make money. And he puts all the other problems to the side, even though they're real. He has a hard time processing all those things. I think that's what you do, is you just remember to keep working.
Any other questions?
Is that Miss Hair and Miss Hair? Everybody's hair?
Mhm.
for the kids.
Yep.
But manager, and I noticed the haircut in the picture looked like a kind of military style haircut. Do you do the military haircuts too?
I do all
For
sides.
soldiers? Great, great.
It's good to know. Anybody else?
Something that CJ talked about in our earlier sessions, just to kind of give you an experience, because I knew him in high school. And learning was really, really hard for CJ. Schoolwork didn't come easy for him. And so explain to them, because you had a pretty significant learning disability. It was really hard for CJ to read and understand what they were saying. It was hard for him to be in a lecture because of his central auditory processing disorder. So learning was really, really hard for him. How did you get through barber school, even with your learning disabilities?
Well, it's just barber school, you
Uh-huh.
say? Well, it's.
Because you had to pass the test, right?
Mm-hmm, correct. Well, to pass both exams to get my barber's license. So, like, I had to study on, well, like our lectures, like we study on the human anatomy, the, you know, like, so like, like, damn. Sorry, well, the hair, talking about the hair or the diseases and chemicals, all that type of stuff. It's my motive, the study for the written exam. I mean, you have to pass 2 exams to get your written, to get your barber's license. I passed my written twice. I passed my written the second time, and the first time barely. I passed my practical, which you had to do a certain haircut on a client, and you had to shampoo it, shave, scientific facial massage, all in for an hour and 30. Otherwise, it don't pass.
Oh, I thought Kevin had a question. No. How many hours do you work now? What's your week like?
It's like 55 hours.
Here's a question back there.
I just pretty much chill, look at my Instagram, watch a little TV, spend time with my girlfriend.
Pretty average life.
Sometimes I kind of sometimes I go out places. Not so much though. I wish though. I mean, I really love to travel, so like, I would like to travel state by state. Just got to make money off of it though,
Have you ever had the opportunity to go on a cruise ship? I know some cruise lines probably hire barbers to work on the cruise ship. That might be a fun way for you to travel and also do your craft at the same time.
That sounds pretty cool. I mean, I would love to do that. I wonder where would I sign in?
How do you keep hope in face of all your challenges? What is your trick to keep being hopeful?
What is my trick?
Can you think? Let me tell you this. So when CJ worked with me in high school, he was very overwhelmed with how hard learning was, how hard. I remember you coming to my office. I don't know how to talk to girls. Why does everybody else know how to talk to girls? That was just part of his autism. He just desperately wanted to be, how do I know how to talk like this? How do I get people? He just didn't understand it at all, and he was very, very overwhelmed and kind of angry, don't you think? And we had one student that was just angry. He just doesn't want to think about his brain, doesn't want to think about his challenges. And CJ goes, oh yeah, I remember that. And I remember it because I was his teacher when he was. But as you got older, you started to have more hope. And you started to feel good about yourself. What changed? How did you start to be more hopeful?
Wow, it's kind of hard to explain.
Was it instant, or did you just grow up into that?
What do
And
you mean instant?
Did you, all of a sudden one day you said, okay, I don't care about autism, I'm okay? Or did you have to kind of grow into it?
Guess I gotta grow into it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
And now what is your plan with the, why are you trying to inspire others?
You know, to give hope and inspiration. That's what my page is all about. Well, even though that has most barbershop content in there, but there is also, you know, inspiration and hope as well. So I mean, I'm trying. I mean that, you know, social media helped me, you know, to become more social and to be more out there, and wanted to make a difference.
David, did you have a question?
You said earlier that autism used to be 1 in every 10,000 people, and now it's 1 in every 59.
Mm-hmm.
Judging by those numbers, do you think it's actually possible for one day autism to become the majority compared to normal people these days?
Wow, that's a really good question, David P.
Yes.
Wow, I mean, I haven't really thought of it that way. Well,
Yeah, because judging by those numbers, it looks as if one day there actually might be more people with autism or some form of logical brain instead of those with social brains. And then it'll actually come from an awareness to possibly something that will be considered normal day, everyday life.
well, that's what it would seem. As long as everybody understands you with they're on the spectrum. I mean, well, but not sure about, you know, we might be becoming the majority, but it would be cool.
Definitely.
Joelle?
Who would take over the world?
Hmm?
Who would take over the world?
Who would take over the world?
We would.
Oh,
If we had, like if it was.
People with logical brains.
we can.
So, when you feel like, sometimes you don't like what someone says to you or feel like you're criticized or something, what kind of things do you do to, cope with that? Like, cause I have trouble with that.
With,
Do you understand her question? When you get frustrated because you feel like people are teasing you or giving you negative feedback, or they don't
Yeah, teasing.
tease, or kind of, I think what she's saying is that joking where people are, you just feel like they're attacking you because you don't quite understand the jokes. She understands what that's like.
mm-hmm.
How do you keep your cool? How do you keep calm when that upsets you?
Well, I just, you know, well, I just ignore, and or if I couldn't really handle it, I would just be at a different environment, you know, go outside, you know, being
Okay.
alone. It makes me feel good, and also sometimes, you know, being inside of my car. You know.
So basically walk out of the room?
Well, yeah, whenever it's not busy.
Oh, yeah. Try and just ignore the person or just go with people that are like positive.
Mm-hmm. Basically positive energy.
Well, and can I answer some? I think
Sure.
what CJ is really good at, and it's taken him a while, he's 27 now. But what he's learned is my brain doesn't understand jokes. That's just my brain.
Sometimes I don't know if someone's joking with me or if they're being serious.
Same. That's
Same.
rare. About rare.
Okay, so he's telling you in the barbers community, they're always teasing each other. That's how it is in a barbers community. But what CJ says is, CJ is okay, there's nothing wrong with CJ, there's just a problem with his brain and jokes. So what he says at the end is he loves himself, he just knows you have this one little problem. Wouldn't you think that's really important, to love yourself even when you feel like people are teasing you?
Yes.
How do you do that? How do you remember to love yourself even when you're facing your weaknesses?
I mean, you gotta know yourself, and you know, looking back at, you know, think of the good things about you, and don't let anybody else get in your way, you know, trying to get you down. I mean, as long as you think about your good side, you know, you're good. You know, don't worry about other people. Just worry about yourself.
And it took CJ a long time to be able to feel that way. When he was in high school, can I tell a story?
Go ahead.
Okay. When he was in high school, he came to my office and started crying. And he said, Mrs. Maher, how come everybody else knows how to talk to girls and I don't know how to talk to girls? And I remember you were at the bike, you were something about your bike rack, or there was a problem in the bike rack with your lock. Do you remember this?
Bike rack.
Do you remember this story?
Well, I haven't ruined the bike.
I know, but I don't know why I remember the bike rack. This is hard for my memory. This is 13 years ago.
I hope it was a flashback.
Yeah, maybe a flashback. But he came to my office and he didn't know to love himself yet. All he could see was all of these challenges. All he knew is school was hard. CJ had to take a lot of special education classes because school was hard for his brain. And talking to girls was hard. Talking to guys was hard. And so he learned through those years to start loving himself. But I want you to see Joel, he hasn't always been like this. He had to set goals and get better.
I feel like things kind of change when people get out of high school. I don't know why.
Do you think was high school harder?
It's just
Or
less of
adult
a
life.
comparison, like
Because these kids are just about ready to graduate. They're just about ready to leave high school.
high school's really competitive and it's like all about grades and stuff like that, and then people feel like they're
Yeah,
not
and we're
as good as each other.
we're about to see the seems like we're about to see the world over you do.
Do you know what they're asking?
Yeah, well,
Okay,
it's
but
kind
give him
of-
just a second to process.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, like I can remember, you know, going through adulthood. I mean, the way I'm thinking about community college, well, we'll get to community college as of now. I mean, you feel more comfortable. I mean, you know, other students, you know, they're much nicer, they're more mature than, you know, kids were in high school. And I mean, and of course the schedule, I mean, it's, you know, it's much more organized than high school.
You get more downtime every now and then.
Well, yes and no.
Do you get more downtime now that you're an adult? Tell them how much you work. How many hours do you work?
Wow. So I worked 55 hours a week at the barbershop that I'm working at right now.
How many hours a week are you in school?
Let's see where she.
Yeah, you're about in school about 35 to 40 hours. He works a lot more than that. That's just his job. Not
Sometimes-
every job is 55 hours.
Sometimes I'd be willing, you know, to work at the barbershop that I'm working at right now, 7 days a week.
Some people work overtime to,
Get money.
Some jobs,
yeah.
Do you ever like did you have ever like worked overtime?
sometimes.
Reading and answering questions was hard for you in high school, right?
Yes. I'm
Yes.
having trouble with that right now, a lot of trouble.
How much
I
reading
never did
do you do in your job now? You don't have to do what's hard for him anymore. He got enough reading and enough listening to get through barber school, but now he's in his job. He doesn't do the things that are hard for him anymore. And he's very, very successful.
Well, about when I was in barber school, like, you know, you had to do you had to study for the written exam.
Yeah.
And to get your barber's license, you know, you gotta know about the human anatomy, you gotta know about, you know, chemicals, you gotta know about, you know, pretty much, you know, about the hair, you know, the proteins that we have in there. You know, our hair is 98% of keratin protein.
Parasites that we don't.
And parasites, yeah, that's one of our, you know, main concerns, you know, in the book.
Like head lice and.
Yeah, that's really important. That's really important to study.
You guys also learned about all types of hair conditions and stuff? Like genetic diseases or like other things that affect hair and stuff?
Like dandruff or like?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. So, well, the one, I would like to say some stuff about dandruff. Like, what we normally have is, what's kind of more typical than the other is, the one that's typical is capitis, while the other one, the severe one is, well, the one I really remember is capitis steatoids.
What exactly is dandruff anyway?
It's a dry scalp.
Where you get those flakes on your.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think what you're saying is you had to study extra hard in barber school to understand all this.
Well, it's required because, it's part of the written exam and you have to pass it.
And you did it.
Mm-hmm. That's second time.
It took 2 times.
It took my first time, it took my first time to do my practical exam. Like, what you have to do in your practical exam is that you have to give a client a regular haircut. I mean, it's that one specific haircut. You have to give them a shave, and before that, you have to give them a shampoo, and then after you did the shave, you do the scientific facial massage. You have to do all that the time limit would be 1 hour and 30 minutes. Otherwise, you wouldn't pass.
And that was only the practical one?
Mm-hmm.
And was there like a written one?
There are 2 separate exams. The one written and one practical.
So there's the practical one and there's the main one.
Well, they're both main exams. So those are you have to pass both of them to get your barber license.
Basically, if you fail one of them, you don't get your license. You gotta pass both of them.
Precisely.
Any other questions? Anything you want to know?
So I know that you said you struggle with time, and you like to make sure that you do great work. How did you prepare yourself so that you were able to do that hour and a half for your test?
How do I prepare myself? Well, you see, when I was in barber school, sometimes we'd be cutting hair and, sometimes, we have the flexibility to do whatever we want in there. So, whether we felt like cutting hair or we really need to study on the exam, you really want this barber license so bad. If there are not a lot of clients coming in at the barber school, that's when you do the barber exam.
How did you keep what tools do you use to go fast? What do you tell your brain so that you don't take too long on a haircut?
Well, I've been told that I should use a timer.
Does that work for you?
Well, I have been using a timer, but not consistently and not recently, but I might do it again. I will do it again.
Because he wants to be perfect and have a perfect haircut, but he has to not, nobody wants to sit and get a haircut for 2 hours.
I forgot to mention, Ms. Maher, that, I even forgot to tell the whole class, when someone's in a rush, needs to go somewhere, they're in a hurry, that's when I go fast. I really care about the person, he needs to really go somewhere, someplace important, or like an interview or someplace, or a doctor's appointment. I gotta cut hair real fast. Otherwise, I normally take my time.
But he has to think about his client. What are the client's needs? What are they doing today? Then he can tell if they want to talk or not want to talk. He has to always listen to the client. Any other questions? All right, thanks, CJ.